Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I'm ready to drop on you my new and improved Poison Shredder for Diablo 4. If you are a fan of the flicker playstyle quick gameplay, this is going to be the build for you. As always, I will cover every single facet of the build. Everything is timestamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Starting off with some gameplay. Right now I'm in a Nightmare Dungeon tier 86. And I'm going to try and show you some flickering right off the bat if there's anyone to fight. Look at that! As long as the enemy is poisoned, Blurred Beast will just fly through them. Smoked. All right, let's try and get a bigger pack going. Oh, this is going to be a large pack. I'm going to kick it in the middle. Now, one thing difficult about Blurred Beast, for it to actually trigger, oh, I just took out that whole middle, you do need to have separation. You gotta, like, you know, blur into the enemy. Oh, geez, a lot of enemies here. Come on, get him. You got this, don't you worry. These enemies are tier 140, or level 140 enemies. Got them. So, you have Trample, which is going to give you your spirit back. We do not use a generator in this build, which is awesome. No generator. Debilitating Roar is going to give you damage reduction, and Creeper is going to put on tons of poison so that Blurred Beast will blow them up. And just so you know, this build can be pushed so much farther because I was power leveled. I don't have my glyph leveled or anything like that, so I'm sure it can do way, way better than even this. Right now, when I'm really pushing, I'm in the 90s. All right, I think you get the idea. Flicker through them all, and they're all dead. Let's jump to the boss fight. All right. Scourge of the Land. Starting off a little 4 million hit, followed by a 2.5. Not too bad. And again, remember, with gear and glyph leveling, you can push this so much farther. But pretty simple. You hit him with as much poison as possible, whether that's Creeper or just hitting him, then you bounce out and use Blurred Beast to do tons of damage. Now, on single target fights, you do got to make sure you manage your resources, which I'm honestly not doing great in this fight. Remember, every time you use Trample, you get all of your resources back. And you can use Trample a few times. So I just used it, and then it's already back. And you are dead. Good night. Tier 86, smoked. Let me show you how to recreate this build. So now let's check out the skill tree for this refreshed Poison Shredder build. Like I said during the gameplay portion, we are not using a generator, so 1 into Claw, 1 into Enhanced Claw. It doesn't matter where you put these first 2 points because you are not using it. You do want to max out Shred, and you want to take Primal Shred, which gives you your dash. You want 1 into Heart of the Wild, 3 into Wild Impulses to make your Shred stronger. Then you want 3 into Predatory Instinct to increase your crit chance, and then 3 into Iron Fur, because since we are transforming into a Werebear, when we are using Trample and Debilitating Roar, you are going to get some damage reduction here. As we come down, 1 point into Debilitating Roar, 1 point into Enhanced Roar, and then 3 into Fortitude and 3 into Vigilance, which is going to give you resistances and defense. As you come down, since we are using Shepherd's Aspect, you want 1 point into Wolves, you want 1 into Ravens and 1 into Brutal Ravens to give you an extra companion, and then you want 5 into Creeper and 1 into Ferocious Poison Creeper so the poison lasts longer, and then you want to boost that with Call of the Wild. Now remember, your Poison Creeper is going to be putting tons of poison on the enemies, and then through Blurred Beast you are going to dash through them, and that is really where that flicker comes from. As we move down, you want 1 into Trample and 1 into Savage Trample. Hunter's Zenith Ring is going to allow you to use Trample all the time, and this is how you're going to maintain your spirit without needing to use a generator. 1 point into Neurotoxin, 3 into Envenom, and 3 into Toxic Claws. We are a Poison Shredder, so you want that poison damage. And for this build, you will notice we are not using an ultimate skill. I tried it with Grizzly Rage, did not work. I tried it with Petrify, which worked, but I felt like it was not good enough. It was better to actually have Debilitating Roar in than using an ultimate skill. We've got 7 into Quick Shift and 6 into Heightened Senses. Since we're going back and forth from Werewolf to Werebear, it makes a big difference when it comes to survivability. And last but not least, Yersin Strength, which is going to give you a 25% damage multiplicative all the time. Those are the skills. Moving over to the Spirit Boons and the Vampiric Powers. Now for the Boons, pretty standard setup here. Top, you want Wariness for damage reduction. On the second, you want Iron Feather for multiplicative life, 14%. On the third, you want 2 boons. You want Pack Leader. This is very important so you can use Poison Creeper more often. And you want Bolster, which is going to give you more defense on your Fortify. And then for your Snake, the last one, you want Masso, which is going to give you some life heal on your Shape-Shifting critical strikes. Now, when you are looking at Vampiric Powers, right now I've got Sanguine, Ravenous, Prey on the Weak, Flowing Veins, and Hemo. That being said, you can either use Hemo or Metamorphosis in this slot. That is up to you. Right now I'm using Hemo. Most likely Metamorphosis is better, so you could try out both. Moving over to the Paragon boards, and we are currently on the written guide on Icy Veins. Now, this YouTube video won't always be up to date, but the written guide will be. So if you ever have any questions, second link in the description will take you to the Icy Veins full 4,000 word written guide, which is updated for this build. So starting board, we have Territorial as the glyph we are using. Obviously, if you want to snapshot it, go ahead. It's just easier to go to the guide. Board number 2, we are taking Heightened Malice, and for our glyph, we want Fang and Claw. Board number 3, we're taking Thunderstruck, and we are using the Exploit glyph. Board number 4, Ancestral Guidance, and we are using the Werewolf glyph. Board number 5, we're using Constricting Tendrils, and we are using Tracker. Board number 6, Lust for Carnage, and we are using Spirit. Board number 7, and the final board, we are using Inner Beast, and on here we are using Undaunted. Those are the Paragon boards. Now let's talk legendary aspects and gems, starting with gems. With your weapon, you can either use purple or green. In my testing, green edged it out, but it is pretty close. When it comes to your armors, just like every other build, use red, use rubies to get that boost to your life. And then when it comes to your jewelry, if you need to get your resistances capped, like I am right now, it is because of these gems. And if your resistances are capped without the gems, use a skull. Okay, now let's go through each one of the aspects I am using. Helmet, we are using Vigorous for damage reduction when we are in Werewolf. Armor, we're using Disobedience for added armor. Gloves, we are using Storm Claws for boost to shred with lightning. Pants, we're using Will. These are awesome because they're going to trigger every single time you use Trample. Boots, we're using Ghostwalker. Move freely through enemies. Amulet, we're using Blurred Beast. Ring, we are using Stampede for the extra companion. Second ring, we're using Hunter's Zenith. This give us a huge boost to survivability and allows you to use Debilitating Roar and Trample almost twice as often. And last but not least, on our weapon is Shepherds. And again, this is a 20% multiplicative damage based upon how many companions you have. And right now we have the maximum amount of companions. That is the gems and aspects. Last but not least, let's talk about target affixes you want to find on your gear. I'm going to give you my top 4, but really there are lots of different affixes that are good for this build. and they're always changing, but as of right now, I'll tell you what's good to look for. On helmet, cooldown reduction, ranks to poison creeper, max life, or total armor, or you can go and get yourself an Uber Shaco or Andariel's. Those would both be awesome. Chest armor, you want damage reduction while fortified, damage reduction from close enemies, and max life. Gloves, critical strike chance, ranks of shred, attack speed, and willpower. Now, pants, we are using the will pants, but if you do not have them, you want quad damage reduction. Boots, movement speed, damage while injured, damage reduction while injured, willpower and spirit cost reduction. Amulet, willpower %. This is the only item that rolls on. Ranks of Toxic Claws passive, cooldown reduction, and movement speed. For your rings, critical strike chance, resource generation, lucky hit chance, and max life. And last but not least, for your weapon, willpower, all stats, damage to slowed enemies, core skill damage, and I will add on there damage to close enemies and critical strike damage. There's a lot that you can get good on your weapon, but try and get willpower and all stats. That's it. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. What do you think of my new and improved poison shred? Is there something I missed? Is there something I could do to take us to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. I'm hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it, but of course, only if you think I've earned it. And if I haven't earned it, I'm gonna work harder for you. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 92 members that have signed up. I get asked all the time what's the best way to support, and Patreon is it. It helps me, and you get the most bonus content. The ability to live stream audio and video with me, access to game night, you get to see all the private posts, you get access to the VIP lounge. It is the best spot. And don't forget, all of my guides for Diablo 4 and soon Last Epoch are over on Icy Veins, and all of the links are in the description. I'm done. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.